Our mission for this deep dive is to explore the Doomsday sequence, not just as some abstract theological event, but through a framework of cosmic physics.
We're talking about black holes, wormholes, dimensional gates, and, well, actual teleportation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand where you end up, we really have to start with the systemic collapse of the entire universe.
Right.
You handed us this stack of research recently, and honestly, it completely broke our brains in the best way possible.
Oh, yeah. Tends to do that.
Right. I mean, usually when you picture the afterlife or, the end of the world, there is this built-in expectation for you of it being very, well, cloudy.
Cloudy, yeah. Or abstract.
Exactly, like ethereal spirits just kind of floating around in this misty, undefined space where the laws of physics just completely stop mattering.
It is a very common assumption. I mean, people view the end times purely as a mystical or almost a magical occurrence.
Right.
The idea for most people is that the physical universe simply vanishes, and suddenly you wake up in some vaguely defined spiritual realm, a place where gravity and mass are just irrelevant.
But then, you step into the world of comparative cosmology and sacred geography, specifically through the lens of Hira Ansari's research.
Right.
And suddenly that cloudy image just totally evaporates. I mean, we are looking at a landscape that is shockingly precise.
Highly precise. It is all about meticulously engineered dimensional architecture.
Yeah, and so you asked us to look into this, and that is exactly what we are going to do today. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore the Doomsday sequence, not just as some abstract theological event, but through a framework of cosmic physics.
We're talking about black holes, wormholes, dimensional gates, and, well, actual teleportation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand where you end up, we really have to start with the systemic collapse of the entire universe.
Right. To set the stage properly, we have to look at how this research beautifully blends ancient sacred texts, specifically the Qur'an, with the language of modern astrophysics.
It's fascinating.
It really is. It urges you to consider the profound implications of a universe that doesn't just, simply end. It undergoes a massive, calculated structural collapse.
So before human beings can even be judged, the cosmos itself has to physically transition.
Exactly. The text describes a complete system failure. I mean, the sky split, the stars are extinguished, and the fundamental laws of gravity just completely warp.
So it's not just a surface-level extinction event where everybody just dies. It is a total system collapse.
A total collapse, yeah.
And if I am understanding the physics of this correctly, it sounds remarkably like a massive black hole interaction.
That is a very strong parallel. I mean, if you translate the events described in the Qur'an into the language of modern astrophysics, it directly mirrors the mechanics of extreme gravitational fields.
Okay, right. Because a black hole distorts space-time.
It does. It increases gravity by millions or even billions of times. So, for instance, chapter 81, verse 6 of the Qur'an describes the oceans being set ablaze.
Wow.
Right? Now, think about what happens if a rocky, metallic planet like Earth interacts with a black hole's gravitational field.
Wait, let me guess. The Earth's internal core, which is, already extreme liquid metal and solid iron, that would experience a massive surge in temperature and pressure, right?
Yeah, you've got the mechanics perfect.
Because of the external gravity pulling on it.
Exactly. The tidal forces from that level of extreme gravity would cause catastrophic friction inside the planet.
Oh, wow.
So the core heats up so intensely that the crust fractures and the oceans literally boil and catch fire.
That is terrifying. But mechanically, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And it actually explains another detail I was completely baffled by.
Which one?
There are descriptions of mountains being moved and becoming, like wool.
Yes.
At first, I thought that was just poetic imagery, right? But if the external gravity of a black hole suddenly overpowers Earth's internal gravity, those massive mountain ranges would just lose their anchor.
They lose their anchor completely. The internal magnetic system holding the crust together just collapses.
And millions of tons of rock just float away like tufts of wool.
Yep. The crust becomes entirely unstable. The verses describe the earth undergoing this massive upheaval. In fact, chapter 99, verse 1 says the earth will throw out its burdens.
Yeah, I was trying to wrap my head around that verse, and I couldn't help but think about how a black hole actually operates.
Right.
Like, a normal vacuum cleaner just pulls dust off the floor, but a black hole pulls the fabric of the room itself. It pulls space-time.
It pulls everything.
So when the Earth throws out its burdens, it is not just talking about bodies, is it?
No, not at all.
It is like a forensic archive being forced open from the inside out. Hidden structures, ancient lost civilizations, sealed evidence. I mean, every single thing buried in the crust is violently pulled to the surface.
It is. But here is where the physics take a turn into something even more complex.
Okay, I'm ready.
Because despite this immense violent destruction and the total distortion of gravity, the texts describe human beings actively walking on this newly flattened, transformed ground.
Wait.
They are emerging, gathering, and moving swiftly toward a specific point.
Hold on, how does that even work? If gravity's all messed up, the mountains are floating like wool, and the planet is essentially turning inside out, how is anyone walking?
Well, they aren't walking by their own free will or under normal terrestrial laws.
Oh, okay.
They are in a state of hypnotic divine control. The text describes them following a collar with no deviation.
So it's like a pull.
Yes, it is as if an invisible command field is pulling them toward the judgment ground. They're fully aware, completely terrified, but locked into this universal gathering force.
Because the rules of physics have shifted from terrestrial to dimensional.
Exactly.
Okay, but this brings up a massive logistical hurdle. I mean, if the Earth has been violently torn apart and bodies have decayed for thousands of years or, been burned or lost at sea.
Right, the physical degradation.
Yeah, how are these actors even returning to the stage? I mean, if the physical body is completely dissolved into the ecosystem, how exactly is it restored?
The research dives deep into this concept. It calls it the restoration point. And the Qur'an actually anticipates this exact skepticism from people.
Really?
Yes. In chapter 75, verses 3 and 4, it says, "Does man think we cannot assemble his bones? Yes, indeed, we are able even to perfectly restore his fingertips."
The fingertips. Out of everything in the human body, pointing out the fingertips is such a hyper-specific detail.
It is specific because fingerprints represent biological uniqueness. It is a DNA-level signature.
Wow.
The emergence from the graves isn't just about sweeping some dust together and hoping it looks like a person. It is essentially a flawless, universal data recovery moment.
A data recovery moment. I like that.
Yeah. Every human has a unique biological, energetic, and spiritual pattern, and it is backed up perfectly in the cosmic architecture.
I am really trying to picture this because when people hear the word restoration, they might assume it just hits a cosmic undo button.
Right, like going back in time.
Yeah, like we revert to exactly how the world was maybe 6,000 years ago, but that wouldn't make sense if the planet is entirely transformed by a black hole.
And it doesn't revert to an arbitrary historical timestamp. Think about how a complex computer system works.
Okay.
When you need to recover a corrupted hard drive, you don't restore it to a random Tuesday from 5 years ago. You use a specific restore point.
Right, the system's most optimal, most stable state.
Exactly. Earth is restored to an expanded, flattened state suitable for a massive dimensional gathering.
Yeah.
And human beings are restored to their most complete awareness and their strongest physical form.
To withstand the intensity of what comes next.
You've got it.
So it is accessing a perfectly preserved universal data bank. The physical file is restored, the spiritual file is restored, and the behavioral file, like the literal record of every action, word, and intention, is pulled up.
Yes, and pulled up without any data corruption whatsoever.
That is incredible.
It is the core implication of the text. It underscores a universe where no action or intention is ever truly deleted. The cosmic archive is flawless.
So the data is recovered, everyone is gathered, and the judgment takes place. But what happens after that? I think a lot of people, myself included, honestly, kind of assume that the fiery black hole-like collapse of the Earth is hell.
That is a very common misconception.
Right, like the crust is boiling, it is terrifying. That is the punishment, right?
Yeah, I have to push back on that image because the sources correct this assumption entirely.
Okay, lay it on me.
The cosmic destruction phase we just discussed is purely the setup. It is just the transitional lobby, so to speak. Hell, which is known as Jahannam, is an entirely separate, highly organized dimensional reality.
Oh, wow. So it is not just a chaotic, uncontained fire somewhere in the universe.
Far from it.
Yeah.
Jahannam is heavily structured, layered, and gated. Chapter 15, verse 44 states it has 7 specific gates.
7 gates.
Yes. These are assigned for different categories of people, like the arrogant, the hypocrites, the oppressors. And these levels are overseen by 19 keepers or administrators.
A gated dimensional prison. And the research points out it has its own terrifying ecosystem, too.
It does.
It is not just an empty furnace. There is the tree of the Zaqqum growing at its base, which has fruits described as looking like the heads of devils.
Right.
And then there is this mysterious region that has 3 shadows, but the text says they provide absolutely no cooling from the heat. I was wrestling with that one.
It is hard to visualize.
Yeah, how do you have a tree and shadows inside a realm of pure fire?
Well, this is where we have to shift our understanding of physics again. In our dimension, a shadow is the absence of light, which usually provides a drop in temperature.
Right, you stand in the shade to cool off.
But in Jahannam, the physics of light, heat, and matter are entirely different. They're perhaps even inverted.
Inverted?
Yeah. A shadow, there might be a geometric projection of dense, suffocating smoke that blocks vision, but actually traps heat.
Oh, that makes sense.
As for the tree of Zaqqum, it is thriving in fire because it is not a carbon-based botanical plant like we have on Earth. It feeds on the energetic reality of that dimension.
That makes so much more sense than just imagining, like, an oak tree on fire.
Exactly.
And the architecture gets even more complex. Between heaven, which is Jannah, and hell, there is a barrier called Barzakh and an elevated zone called Araf.
Yes, Araf is a fascinating structural element.
It is described almost like this cosmic balcony. I was just fascinated by the idea that people in Jannah can actually look down and see the people in Jahannam. But physically, how does that optic system work? I mean, if they are in completely separate dimensions with different physical laws, it is not like they are just looking over a literal brick wall.
No, definitely not.
Is it a dimensional window? A wormhole they look through?
The mechanics of observation there are highly likely dimensional. Because the afterlife isn't geographical in the way we map cities, you know?
Right.
You aren't seeing with physical retinas relying on photons of light. The sight might be an activated soul perception that is uniquely permitted to pierce the dimensional barrier, or Barzakh.
That is a terrifying and awe-inspiring architectural feature. They are observationally connected, yet completely physically separated.
It really emphasizes the structure of these realms.
Okay, so if hell is this multi-layered dimensional prison beneath, and heaven is the destination above or beyond, how does a soul successfully navigate between them?
That is the ultimate question.
Because you don't just teleport to heaven automatically after judgment. There is a final passage. And to make that crossing, the research lays out a very specific formula of cosmic keys and fuel.
And this brings us to the core engine of salvation. The research breaks this down brilliantly into 3 essential components that act as a navigation system.
Let's get into it.
It starts with the Kalma, which is the core declaration of faith. In chapter 14, verse 24, the Qur'an compares a pure word or declaration of faith to a good tree.
A tree whose roots are firmly fixed in the earth and its branches reach into the sky.
Exactly.
When you look at that through the lens of cosmic physics, it sounds exactly like the structure of a wormhole. I mean, a teleportal bridging the collapsed earth directly to Jannah.
That is the exact parallel the research draws. The Kalma is the tree with roots in earth and branches touching the sky. It isn't just a phrase you say. It manifests as the structural portal.
So it is the literal pathway.
Yes, it is the Pul-e-Sirat, connecting the black hole or the collapsed earth directly with Jannah. But having a portal structure isn't enough on its own.
Right, because you need the energy to actually traverse it without being destroyed.
Spot on.
And that is where the second component comes in. Good deeds. The research points to actions like freeing a slave or feeding an orphan in times of hunger, helping the needy, like in chapter 90, verses 13 through 16.
Those specific actions are highlighted for a reason.
I always thought of these as just moral checklists to make you a good person, but in this framework, they generate literal, quantifiable energy. They build the soul's Noor, its light.
They are the fuel. This light, these good deeds, act as a protective energy shield for the teleportation of the body.
Just like energy shielding.
Yes, but here is the critical nuance. Let's say someone has all that energy. They have done incredible humanitarian deeds all their life, but they completely lack belief. They reject the Creator. What happens then?
See, I would assume the good deeds are enough to get them across, right? I mean, energy is energy.
This is where many people misunderstand the physics of the afterlife. Good deeds provide the light and energy for the teleportation of the body without any damage. But Iman's strong, unwavering faith and belief in Allah acts as the ultimate access key.
Ah, I see.
Strong belief is literally the doors to heaven. It is the destination. It is the ignition switch that opens those doors.
So what does this all mean for the actual journey? It means you absolutely need all three. All three things are essential for the journey of the soul and body to Jannah.
You cannot make the journey without all three.
The Kalma is the structural wormhole or path. The good deeds are the light and energy shielding your body, and Iman is the key that unlocks the doors to heaven.
Precisely.
If you have the deeds but no faith, you basically have a charged battery but no ignition switch to turn the engine on. The light just doesn't activate.
Exactly the case. And the texts illustrate this beautifully yet tragically. Chapter 57, verse 13 describes the hypocrites on the day of judgment.
What happens to them?
Well, these are people who had outward actions, but no inner faith, no ignition. They find themselves stranded in complete darkness, literally begging the believers, wait for us, so we may borrow some of your light.
Wow, borrow some of your light. That is intense.
But the reality of this dimension is that you cannot borrow this light. It cannot be transferred like currency. It has to be internally generated through your own earthly actions and sincerity.
That is heavy. And it ties into another concept from the sources that really gave me pause. The idea of Istedraj.
Oh, Istedraj is a very sobering concept.
It is. It is this psychological and spiritual trap because we look at the world and we see cruel, arrogant people with massive wealth and power.
Right, and it looks like they are being blessed.
Exactly. But the research explains that this abundance is actually Istedraj. It is a gradual trap.
Yeah.
God gives them so much of the world that they become completely consumed by it.
To get entirely distracted.
Yeah, they forget to seek forgiveness, they never build their light, and their hearts just become sealed.
It is a chilling mechanic. The abundance lulls them into a false sense of security, while simultaneously, God repeatedly offers friction, trials, and guidance to sincere people so they don't fall asleep at the wheel.
It forces them to find that ignition switch.
Yes, the entire journey becomes this profound intersection of divine mercy meeting human sincerity.
Okay, let's pull all this together for the final crossing. You have the rip portal of the Qiyamah, you have your energy charged by good deeds, and you have the ignition of Iman.
Right, you are fully prepared.
Your Noor, your light, is fully activated. Now, you approach the physical crossing, the Pul-e-Sirat.
Traditionally, people imagine the Sirat as just a little tightrope bridge suspended over the fires of hell. But the Qur'an uses a very specific word, Aqaba.
Aqaba. What does that mean exactly?
It means a steep, narrow, highly difficult cosmic passage or bottleneck. This isn't just a casual walk across a bridge.
And this is where the teleportation aspect fully clicks into place. In chapter 57, verse 12, it says that for the believers, their light, their Noor, will run ahead of them.
Run ahead of them, yes.
It doesn't just glow around them like a lantern. It shoots out in front of them to carve a path through the dimension. It weaves a protective membrane, a safe tunnel, through the chaotic fire.
That membrane allows the physical body and the soul to travel at unimaginable speeds, literally the speed of light.
Wow.
They travel through this dangerous passage without suffering any dimensional tearing or damage from the velocity.
Think about an electric current passing cleanly through a wire, or like a rocket traveling between two planets at the speed of light.
Those are perfect analogies.
The only reason that rocket survives the friction and the debris of space is because of its shielding. In this case, the protective Noor membrane is the shield. The light carves the tunnel, and the physical body safely teleports through it.
And we know this kind of bodily teleportation isn't a new concept in Quranic cosmology. There are established precedents for this.
Like what?
For instance, the throne of the Queen of Sheba, Bilqis, was teleported instantly across a massive geographical distance without a scratch.
Oh, right. I remember that story.
And more importantly, the prophet's mirage, his physical bodily ascension through the gates of the heavens in a single night, serves as the ultimate prototype for this doomsday travel.
The mirage, of course.
It proves that the physical body can be transported through dimensions if it is shielded by divine authority and light.
It is just breathtaking to frame it that way. The Sirat isn't just a scary balance beam over a pit of fire. It is a high-speed, dimension-piercing transit tube powered by your own spiritual light.
But the transit itself is only half the miracle. If we connect this to the bigger picture, look at what happens at the end of the journey.
What happens?
In chapter 50, verse 31, the text says that Jannah paradise is brought near to the righteous.
Yay! I always assumed the soul was just traveling to heaven. You are saying the destination actually moves to meet the traveler.
It is a dynamic, responsive architecture. It is not just the traveler making this perilous high-speed crossing while heaven sits statically in the distance.
That is mind-blowing.
The destination itself aligns to welcome them, because they have the Iman, the key we talked about. The gates are already open, the dimensional alignment is perfected, and the docking process is seamless.
Wow. You know, looking at all of this together, this research by Hira Ansari completely transforms a terrifying, chaotic, end-of-the-world scenario into an awe-inspiring, meticulously engineered journey.
It really does. It changes the entire paradigm.
We started with a planet fracturing under the gravity of a black hole-like collapse. We moved to a flawless data recovery of every human being's physical and behavioral file.
The restoration point.
Yes. And then we explored the inverted physics of a layered dimensional prison. And finally, we ended with the speed of light teleportation of the body into a heaven that reaches out to catch you.
It's incredible.
It is not a cloudy, ambiguous afterlife. It is an absolute masterpiece of cosmic physics.
It truly is. It replaces fear with awe. And as we wrap up, I want you to think about the physics of your own soul.
I love that. The physics of your own soul.
The structure of this entire cosmic machine is fueled by what you are doing today. Every time you show kindness, every time you feed the hungry or affirm your faith, you aren't just checking a moral box on a tally sheet.
You are building the fuel.
You are literally weaving the protective cosmic membrane, that Noor, that light, that will one day carry your physical body across a crumbling universe. Your actions today are the physics of your tomorrow.
What an incredible thought to end on. The cosmic machine of the afterlife is being fueled right now by us. Thank you for diving into this mind-bending research with us.
My pleasure.
We hope this has shifted your perspective as much as it shifted ours. Keep asking the big questions, and until next time, keep your curiosity ignited.